can break the dark. A single spark ignites the heart. But if we turn when justice calls, the chains we forge will bind us all. When truth is silenced, when lies take hold, the cost is freedom, the soul grows cold. No one stands tall while another must fall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all. We're mavericks of freedom, rebels in the fight, defending every voice, defending every right. For the moment we falter, the moment we stall, we lose our own freedom when we let others fall. You can't stand free while others kneel. When justice fades, it's freedom they steal. An innocent condemned, a crime unspoken, and with it the bond of liberty is broken. No tyrant rules without our consent. Oppression thrives where silence is spent. Stand for the weak, the silence the small, or freedom will crumble for us all. We're mavericks of freedom, guardians of the light, fighting for the truth, for what is just and right. For the rights of one are the rights of all. We rise or we fall by answering the call. Even those we may oppose deserve the rights we all uphold. For if we deny them what is fair, we build our own prison in despair. The fight's not easy, it never will be, but justice for one is the key to be free. We stand as mavericks, together we strive, defending the rights that keep freedom alive. We're mavericks of freedom, rebels in the fight, upholding every truth, protecting every right. When one is oppressed, we're all in the thrall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all. So take a stand, let your courage rise. Defend the truth, don't compromise. For the soul of the world, the writing's on the wall. Freedom for one depends on freedom for all.
Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Maverick News Channel. Donald Trump has gone and done it. He signed that piece. He got out his Sharpie just moments ago and signed that piece of paper enacting 25% auto tariffs against a number of countries, including Canada. This is a major development, and we're going to go live here to Pierre Poilievre, conservative leader, who is reacting. Now we'll go back and show you what Trump was saying. Let me just get this set up. We're going to go to Pierre Poilievre. Here we go. All right, he's responding now to these 25% tariffs.
Et injustifiable. Et
he was Trump threatening to do it. Now he's gone and done it. Now you've done it.
D'abord, pour un changement. Merci beaucoup. Maintenant anglais. Thank you very much. I want to start by condemning, without equivocation, the unjustified and unprovoked tariffs that President Trump has now announced against our auto sector. These tariffs will damage his workers and his economy, just as they will damage ours. We must retaliate and target goods and services that we don't need, can buy elsewhere, or make ourselves to maximize the impact on the Americans while minimizing the impact on ourselves. But before I go any further about these unjustified tariffs and how we're going to respond to them, let me speak to the workers in the auto sector. You're afraid right now. You're anxious. You wonder how you're going to pay your mortgage or put food on the table. You're thinking about the conversations you may need to have with your little children about whether they can register for next year's hockey or this summer's soccer. You don't know if you'll be able to stay in the same city or what's going to happen to your future. Canada will be there for you. We will be there for you. We will ensure that you have income replacement to put food on the table and money in your bank account. We'll make sure that businesses directly affected will have the liquidity they need to get through this dispute. And we will unite as Canadians to protect our affected sectors. But more than that, we need to become strong, self-reliant, sovereign, so that we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to the Americans. What is clear is that 10 years of economic weakness have made us more reliant than ever on the Americans. 75% of our exports go to one country. Almost all of our energy, most of our raw materials go south because we can't get them anywhere else. We need to take drastic action to build an economic fortress in Canada, able to reach other markets around the world, repealing the anti-pipeline law, rapidly building LNG liquefaction plants, mines, factories, expanding and making our ports functional so that we can move our goods to other places around the world, knocking down the barriers between our provinces so that we can trade with ourselves for a change, passing a bring it home tax cut on work, investment, home building, and energy to make this the best place in the world to bring back the $500 billion that Liberals pushed out of the country over the last decade. Then and only then will we be able to properly stand up to the Americans and stand up for ourselves. Now is not a time for weakness. Now is not a time to continue on with the failures that got us into this place of dependency. Now is the time to take back control and relaunch our economy so that we can confront the president's unjustified threats and tariffs in a position of strength. We will do this for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, for a change. Thank you. Évidemment, les deux. Les gens qui continuent de travailler auront toujours des chèques de paie, mais ça va être plus difficile pour eux à cause des tarifs qui augmenteront les coûts de la vie. Et eux autres vont bénéficier des baisses d'impôts leur permettant de dépenser cet argent dans les petites et moyennes entreprises de leur communauté, préservant et créant d'autres emplois, tout en permettant à ces familles de payer leurs factures. Pour d'autres, il faut utiliser l'assurance emploi avec une flexibilité, des nouvelles modalités, le partage.
Okay, let's just pull this down. Hang on, let's go back to him. He's going to go to English. Yeah, he's going to English. Here we go.
Pragmatique pour aider les entreprises et travailleurs directement impliqués dans la guerre tarifaire.
And then we're going to go show you what happened with Trump. Then I have other reaction. We have a lot of other stuff to cover tonight too.
Nécessaire pour bâtir cette forteresse économique dont on a besoin. Thank you very much. In English, yes. So the question was, will it be programs or tax cuts that will help? Well, we're going to need both. We will need to cut taxes for people who still have their jobs, so that in this typical time where costs have been rising out of control for a decade, they can actually pay their bills and spend in local businesses who will then be able to hire and keep employees on. Tax cuts are one of the best ways to stimulate economic growth and to counteract the downward pressure that these tariffs will put on our economy. While President Trump puts a tax on our economy through tariffs, the federal government should cut taxes to counteract that and let our taxpayers, our small businesses, our seniors, and our workers have more money to spend and grow our economy. But there will be some people who lose their jobs, and they will need to have employment insurance. We will make sure that that is flexible enough to give them the food on the table and a way forward, the training they need to get into a new job if necessary. And we need work sharing. The work sharing program is a phenomenal way. We got through the great global recession with the work sharing program that allowed companies to reduce hours instead of laying people off, and then compensated those employees who had less salaried hours with some EI. That's a way to keep them connected to their employer so that when we come out of this, they still have a job.
Mr. Carney a annoncé qu'elle a appelé M. Trump. Est-ce que c'est une bonne idée? Qu'est-ce qu'il devrait dire?
Il devrait dire arrêtez les tarifs.
Okay, again, we'll pull back here for a moment. Hopefully we can get to the English. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Plus riches et plus sécuritaires. Oh yes, the message to President Trump should be to knock it off. We had the best trade relationship in the world, in the history of the world, before these unnecessary interruptions struck our economy. And they are hurting both sides of the border. They will kill American jobs, and they will erase American prices, and we will necessarily have to retaliate. He should lift these tariffs, and but whether or not he does, because he's changed his mind before, he's done this twice, puts them on, takes them off, and we can suspect that may well happen again. We have to become more self-reliant and have new and different markets so that we no longer rely on or depend on what is becoming an increasingly undependable customer. Thank you. Okay. Si les Canadiens m'élisent.
Okay, now let's go to this with Trump in the White House. This was a couple hours ago, I guess. Not that long ago. I'm not sure exactly what time this came down. I'm losing track of time here this afternoon, but this is what we said. Here we go.
Honored to be with you today. We just celebrated Women's Day at the White House. It was fantastic, attended by a lot of great women. All women are great. So this is the beginning of Liberation Day in America. We're going to take back just some of the money that has been taken from us by people sitting behind this desk or another desk that's not quite as nice, but they have their choice of 7, as you know. And we're going to charge countries for doing business in our country and taking our jobs, taking our wealth, taking a lot of things that they've been taking over the years. They've taken so much out of our country, friend and foe, and frankly, friend has been oftentimes much worse than foe. And this is very modest. What we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been seeing, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election, they're very happy. AI is coming back to levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's a new, sort of a new business, I guess, when you think about it. But it's plants are going up all over the United States, and many of them have already been started. We're getting early electricity taken care of. We're getting permits very quickly for them, and we're going to make their life very happy. They're coming in with tens of billions of dollars. Individual plants will cost 10, 15, even 20 billion dollars. We're going to let them build electricity generating plants along with their plant, and they can't even believe it. And we're going to get them very quick permits, as I've done always. I did that in Louisiana with 2 LNG plants. I got them one permit in 1 day after waiting 14 years, and the other one in 1 week after waiting for 12 years. But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country. In Indiana, the great state of Indiana, I love Indiana. Honda is building one of the biggest plants anywhere, and they've just started. They wouldn't have done it without this. In all cases, they wouldn't have done it without what we're doing. So we'll effectively be charging a 25% tariff. But if you build your car in the United States, there is no tariff. And what that means is a lot of foreign car companies, a lot of companies are going to be in great shape because they've already built their plant, but their plants are underutilized, so they'll be able to expand them inexpensively and quickly. But others will come into our country and build, and they're already looking for sites. They're looking for mostly sites. They don't want to take the old buildings that are empty and falling down. They want to build new, and there's tremendous action. There is likewise for other companies and countries, like the chip making process. Your chip bill was a disaster done by Biden. All he does is give tremendous amounts of billions of dollars to chip companies that will do nothing with the money. They're not going to use the money here. They're going to just keep it. They have plenty of money. The one thing they have is they have a lot of money. In our case, all we're doing is saying you can't come in unless you build here. And the largest chip company by far is manufacturer from Taiwan is building here, and it'll give us almost 40% of the chip market just with that. They're spending almost $200 billion in the United States to build a plant, and they've almost started. They'll be doing much of the work in Arizona. So we have a lot of exciting things, but to me this is one of the most exciting. Now, outside of one specific day, and that's Liberation Day. That's the real Liberation Day of America, and that's going to be in April 2nd, and I look forward to it. We'll have a little news conference. We'll talk about it, but this is very exciting. So we're signing a executive order today that's going to lead to tremendous growth in the automobile industry. As you know, the electric mandate that we did allows you to buy a car now, electric or gasoline powered or hybrid. You can buy any car you want. We had it so that within a short period of time you had to buy all electric, and the country could never provide the money necessary to build all of those power plants that you would need all over the country. As you know, in the Middle West, they built 8 power stations. That's like the size of this desk or smaller. And they ended up spending $9 billion on 8. And of the 8, 4 of them didn't work. And we're not doing that. So you can buy electric.
Check
or
the
you
numbers.
Can buy gasoline,
Because
or you can buy hybrid, or you can buy whatever you want to buy.
can't believe his
And that's
numbers.
the way it should be. The market's going to determine that. And you're going to see prices going down, but it's going to go down specifically because they're going to buy what we're doing, incentivizing companies to, and even countries, but companies to come into America and build. And we're already setting records for new plants. I think the new plant number, the tally is just within a period of a few weeks. It's very large. I want to be accurate. It's very large. And I'd like to ask Will just to come and give some of the basics, and then I'll sign it, and it's off to the races. I think our automobile business will flourish like it's never flourished before. Yes, please, Will.
Thank you, sir. As you stated, we've prepared for your attention a proclamation imposing a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars and light trucks. This is in addition to tariffs that are already in place on those goods. In addition to, as you said, spurring increased domestic manufacture of cars and trucks, we expect that these tariffs will result in over $100 billion of new annual revenue to the United States of America in tariff revenue.
I think ultimately we could probably anywhere from 600 billion to $1 trillion will be taken in over the relatively short-term period, meaning a year from now, but starting right away. I think we'll go from 600 to $1 trillion within 2 years, and I think we'll be right from the beginning, we're going to be at a very high number, right from the beginning. And right from the beginning, you're going to have a lot of construction jobs, but you're also going to have a lot of automobile jobs. So this is very exciting, but it's also exciting because of what's happening with other aspects. We're going to be doing tariffs on pharmaceuticals in order to bring our pharmaceutical industry back. We don't make anything here in terms of drugs, medical drugs, different types of drugs that you need, medicines. It's in other countries, largely made in China, a lot of it made in Ireland. Ireland was very smart. We love Ireland. But we're going to have that. We're going to have lumber. We're going to free up some of our land. And you'll be able to meet a lot of other standards like fire cuts. If Los Angeles had fire cuts, which they didn't have, that's a gap of half a football field between areas. You wouldn't have had the fires. They would have been contained. But you have fire cuts, and by the way, you sell that wood for a lot of money, a lot of profit is made from that. But we're going to be doing lumber. We're freeing up our land so that we don't have to use outside sources of lumber. Energy, we're doing fantastically well at. The energy prices have been coming down rapidly as we increase supply, and we've already done that. We have Chris and Doug are doing a fantastic job in that. That's Department of Energy and Department of Interior. And they're working together hand in hand because Interior has the land and Energy has the ability to do the drilling and do what they have to do. Our coal areas are going to be opened up for clean, beautiful coal. Germany's opening up mini coal plants now. They tried the wind and it didn't work. They almost went out of business. They almost went bankrupt. They tried wind, which is a disaster because it's too expensive and it doesn't look good, kills all the birds, a lot of problems. But Germany is now building a lot of coal plants. China is building one a week. Think of that. And they're using coal, which is very powerful. Coal is a very powerful energy. And we're opening up our coal mines again, and we're going to do, I call it beautiful, clean coal. The technology is so good now that coal can give you tremendous power at the same time. It can be very clean. But we're also obviously doing oil and gas and various other things. You can do pretty much whatever you want. We don't like the wind because we think it ruins the landscapes, the plains, ruins them. And it's got a lot of problems. It's also by far the most expensive energy. It looks horrible in the oceans. It's dangerous in the oceans in terms of navigation. And if you look at what's happening with whales, in one area, they lost 2 whales, like in 20 years, washed ashore. And this year they had 17 wash ashore. So there's something happened out there. There's something driving the whales a little bit loco, but they lost 2 in 20 years. And now they lost 17 in a short period of time. So it's something wrong out there. So this is very exciting. This is going to lead to the construction of a lot of plants, and in this case, auto plants. And you're going to see numbers like you haven't seen, both in terms of employment. It takes a little while. You're going to have great construction numbers initially, and then ultimately you're going to have a lot of people making a lot of cars. And one other thing, we have the Speaker of the House with us who's doing a fantastic job. And where's Mike? And we're trying to get approved. Mike, thank you very much for being here. We're trying to get approved, if we can. If you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct interest payments for purposes of income tax, but only if the car is made in America. So if the car is made in America, you get a loan, you can deduct the interest. That's a big saving. A lot of people in that part of the world, in terms of buying cars, a lot of them don't think in terms of deductions. People that think in terms of deductions are very wealthy people, but people are going to start understanding what a good deduction is all about. So when you get a loan to buy a car, and I think it's going to pay for itself. I don't think there's any cost. I think you're going to have so many cars built, but you're only going to get that deduction of interest if the car is made in the United States of America. So I'm going to sign this, and Mike, I hope you can get that because I think it's going to be amazing in terms of the number of cars that are going to be made because of it. And I want to thank Howard Lutnick, our fabulous commerce chairman. That's what he is. He's a chairman. He's a very successful guy, a great guy. And we have a big day, Howard, coming up next week.
Liberation Day.
That's Liberation Day. That's going to be on the 2nd, and that's going to be reciprocal. And I think people will be impressed. We're going to be very fair. We're going to be very nice, actually. We have not been treated nicely by other countries, but we're going to be nice. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised, but it's going to make our country very rich because we're the piggy bank that everybody steals from, and they've been doing it for many years, for decades, so we're not going to let it happen. So, but we're going to treat people very nicely. We're going to treat other countries very, very nicely, and I think it's going to have a very positive effect on everybody, including those other countries. So I'll sign this, and we will see you again on April the 2nd. In terms of this, it's going to be another round, and it's about making America great again, making it strong and prosperous again. Thank you very much.
So Mr. President, on tariffs, can I ask you about tariffs, Mr. President, on the car tariffs? How do you assure that a car coming into the country is fully built? Could an automaker in Germany say, leave the tires on?
Policing, and it's pretty easy to do. If parts are made in America and a car isn't, those parts are not going to be taxed or tariffed. And we'll have very strong policing as far as that's concerned. For the most part, I think it's going to lead cars to be made in one location. Right now, a car would be made here, sent to Canada, sent to Mexico, sent all over the place. It's ridiculous. So this is a very simple system. And the beauty of the 25, it's one number. It's not up or down depending on the cost of the car. It's one number. And that number is going to be used to reduce debt greatly in the United States and to build things, reduce taxes. I mean, basically, I view it as reducing taxes and also reducing debt. And within a fairly short period of time, I think we're going to have a balance sheet that's going to be outstanding. Yeah.
How do you assure Americans then that this will not cause a long-term increase in prices?
Well, look, I think we're going to have a market the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, not in this country. You know, we had the best market ever in my first term. It was the strongest market ever, the best economy ever. And I think I think this blows it away. But this is something that people have wanted to do, presidents have wanted to do for a long time. A lot of them didn't understand it. It wasn't a priority for them. But foreign countries understood it very well. And they've really ripped us off at levels that nobody's seen before. But that's not going to happen.
Mr. President, is this for today or on April 2nd, the auto tariffs?
Say it?
Do these auto tariffs go into effect today or on April 2nd?
They go into effect on April 2nd. We're signing today. It goes into effect April 2nd. We start collecting on April 3rd.
I suppose, do you have any more sectoral tariffs that are coming in on April 2nd?
What does that mean?
Any more tariffs on any other sectors on April 2nd, for example, chips or pharmaceuticals?
Not then, but we will be putting a tariff on lumber. We, as you know, have a tariff already on steel and on aluminum of 25%, and we're taking in tremendous amounts of dollars. More importantly, our steel factories and aluminum factories are roaring. They're starting to roar. They're building new ones. I just heard from Nucor, which is a big company, a very big steel company, and they're building a massive plant for steel that they wouldn't build without this. So we're gonna, you're going to see things that are going to be actually amazing. And I think you already have. You know, we've had some news conferences where I can't have enough. They want to do news conferences where they announce they're going to spend 20, 30, 40 billion dollars. But Apple, as an example, is spending $500 billion. Okay.
On the Signal chat, Senator Roger Wicker.
Hold on one second.
Yes.
Mr.
Go ahead.
President, reciprocal tariffs next week. Will those be immediately effective April 2nd on all countries, or will you focus on the worst offenders?
No, we're going to make it all countries, and we're going to make it very lenient. I think people are going to be very surprised. It'll be, in many cases, less than the tariff that they've been charging us for decades. So I think people are going to be very, very surprised.
Why is
on these auto tariffs?
I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't know. I think we're trying to keep it somewhat conservative.
And on these auto tariffs, we saw obviously the NASDAQ 100 go down 2% at close, S&P 500 down 1%. What are you
Is that today?
Yes,
Today?
sir.
I didn't say that. I want to see the jobs. I want to see, that'll all take care of itself. That could take care of itself in 1 day, 2 days, or 1 week.
Are there any conditions under which you'd remove these auto tariffs, sir, or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office?
Oh, this is permanent, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Are you on the auto tariffs? So did Elon Musk advise you at all on these auto tariffs?
No, because he may have a conflict, so we don't talk. I've never talked to him. Elon's amazing. He's never asked me for a favor in business whatsoever. I'm actually a little surprised by it. I might do it, I might not do it. I do what's right, and he'd want me to do what's right. No, he's a patriot. He has never, these are big deals we're talking about. This is probably nothing like this. And I've never had Elon come and say, would you do me a favor with the mandate or the electric mandate or anything. He's never asked me for anything.
So what's your response?
Let's go to the reaction today from Mark Carney, current Prime Minister, running for election as leader of the Liberal Party. Here he is.
Speak to you in a moment.
He's there with the President
Lana and I
Union
were just
for
having a meeting,
Auto Workers
a
Union.
pre-scheduled meeting, to discuss the situation in our economy, how we can work together across a range of industries, forestry, aerospace, automobiles, and beyond. During the course of that meeting, President Trump announced 25% tariffs against our auto industry. And this is a direct attack, to be clear, a direct attack on the very workers that I stood in front of, uniform workers I stood in front of this morning at the Ambassador Bridge. A bridge that is a symbol and a reality up until now of the tight ties between our two countries, ties of kinship, ties of commerce, ties that are in the process of being broken. We will defend our workers. We will defend our companies. We will defend our country, and we will defend it together. Les États-Unis sont divisés, et ça les affaiblit. Mais nous sommes plus forts quand nous sommes unis. Et nous sommes unis ici au Canada. Les syndicats, le gouvernement, les sociétés, les travailleurs. This will hurt us, but through this period, by being together, we will emerge stronger. I think what's happened, and this was part of our discussion, over the course of the last several months, Canadian workers, Canadians as a whole across this country, have gotten over the shock of the betrayal and are learning lessons. We have to look out for ourselves, and we have to look out for each other and work together for each other. And I just want to say a few words before taking some questions about what my government has done to turn that sentiment into reality. We made a commitment a few weeks ago to use every dollar that we collect from retaliatory tariffs to support workers, to directly go to support workers. And last week we made a series of changes to the EI system in order to take the first big step to make good on that promise. There'll be more. We've announced, of course, retaliatory tariffs. We have other options for those retaliatory tariffs. I have asked for a meeting, I will convene rather, a meeting of the Canada-US Cabinet tomorrow to discuss our trade options. But we're also providing the option of major liquidity for our companies. We put in place an ability for companies to delay tax payments. We've put in place a large facility for our largest companies, some of them which may be affected by this, would be affected by this, to draw on liquidity in various forms so that they can take longer-term decisions without undue pressure from short-term unjustified actions. It's also why we focused, in part in anticipation of what might happen, on today's announcement that I made in front of that Ambassador Bridge, for the $2 billion Strategic Response Fund. And the point of that fund, the point of government procurement, the point of linking up through supply chains, the point of working with labor, led by Unifor, is to build a made-in-Canada supply chain, a made-in-Canada option, so that we are less affected by these. Now, that will take time, but we're already putting in place the building blocks for that. To be clear, we are standing together, standing for Canadian workers across levels of government, and I would add that Premier Ford and I have discussed this already at length, and we will have more discussions in terms of our overall approach. But together, we are stronger. Nous sommes unis, et nous sommes Canada fort. And with that, I think we have time for 2 questions before I go to my next event. This evening, I will, je vais observer, je reviens à Ottawa ce soir pour d'autres réunions en ce qui concerne ce sujet. D'accord. Première question.
Do you have any clarity on how Canada will be impacted and how parts will be treated? And how will you respond? Will you retaliate?
Yeah, this is a crucial question. I'll give a short answer. We do not yet have the executive order. And so there are different variants of the 25% announcement that was made today. One would be that it is only on the, this is still significant to be absolutely clear, but on the part component of a car. Another would be that it's on the entire vehicle. We await the executive order for that clarity. But to be absolutely clear, even in the more, quote, restricted version of this, it is a significant action. It's entirely unjustified. It's entirely inconsistent with CUSMA and indeed the long history of relations in the auto sector right back through the Auto Pact. Oui.
Est-ce qu'on peut avoir la traduction avant d'avoir la question, s'il vous plaît?
La dernière question?
Non, okay. Non, oui, en fait, sur votre réponse.
OK.
Oui, juste traduire.
OK. En ce qui concerne les détails, ils sont des grands détails. C'est de grandes questions. C'est le tarif, le nouveau tarif américain, c'est 25% sur l'automobile en total ou les pièces, les components. Même dans la situation, même dans la deuxième situation, c'est sérieux pour notre industrie. Et on verra, on attend l'ordre exécutif du président. Mais n'importe quel choix, c'est une violation. Il a trahi notre code commercial. Et c'est le président.
Ma question, c'est est-ce que vous allez avoir une réponse immédiate? Quelle sera-t-elle?
Okay.
Et est-ce qu'il est temps de parler à M. Trump?
Oui. Pour la deuxième partie, oui.
Vous allez l'appeler?
Oui. On verra. Tôt.
Demain?
OK, tôt. Ça suffit. Hein? Mais en ce qui concerne les options, nous avons des options, même pendant une période électorale, nous avons des options d'avoir des reprises tarifaires. Alors, on va prendre des décisions après avoir la réunion du cabinet canado-américain. Okay, d'accord. Yeah, I think it would be appropriate that the President and I speak, given the action that he's taken. I'm sure that it will happen soon. I'm not going to give you a precise timing on that. In terms of options, which was the second part of Ms. Martin's question, even during a caretaker period of government, we have anticipated this possibility. We have put in place the mechanisms so that if it is appropriate for retaliatory tariffs, and there's many considerations to be taken in those regards, and I want to have the meeting of our cabinet, Canada-U.S. cabinet, other considerations. We need to see the details of the executive order, but we will take the steps that are in the interests of Canadian workers of Canada. We are going to stand up for Canada. We're going to be united, and we will fight in a unified way. And I would say, if I may, and I will, Lana and Ms. Payne can speak for herself, obviously, the discussions that we've had, the discussions I've had with Premier Ford, we're entirely aligned in terms of the seriousness with which we're taking this and the seriousness of our response. Thank you very much.
Hang on a second. Okay. And last but not least, from the terrible trio, let's go to Jagmeet Singh and get his reaction, NDP leader, out on his bus. Oh, we've got another bus story to share with you today, too, after this. I think you're going to enjoy it if you haven't heard it already, but here's what Jagmeet Singh had to say.
I grew up in Windsor, and Windsor is the automotive capital of this country. I knew what it was like when workers lost their jobs during the ups and downs of the economy. Right now, what Trump has done is a full frontal attack on auto workers. There are hundreds and thousands of workers right now that are wondering if their line is going to shut down and if they're going to lose their job. These workers are wondering if they lose their jobs, how are they going to pay their bills? How are they going to keep their home? How are they going to keep food on the table for their families? This is a direct attack on our workers, and we've got to fight back like hell. We got to fight back with retaliatory tariffs to get rid of these tariffs that are hurting not just jobs in Canada, but jobs in the States as well. And we also have to worry about these workers. The government's got to step up and make sure that none of these workers lose their homes, that these workers can pay their bills, that these workers can get EI, that it's there for them so they can keep food on the table. That's what I'm thinking about right now. We got to fight back. We got to protect these workers. This is a direct attack on so many workers. And we know that Trump is an arsonist. He's literally burning down his own country's jobs and economy and ours as well. And we got to stand up and fight back. Ce qui s'est passé, c'est vraiment une attaque.
Okay, so that's what he says. Let me see if I can get you his Q&A. Here we go. Let's go into this.
Today and not meeting with workers who are being impacted by Trump's tariffs, and will you change your itinerary tomorrow?
Well, what's happened right now is heartbreaking. Like the idea that hundreds of thousands of workers right now are looking at what's just been announced and are wondering, will I lose my job? The prediction is, and some of the estimates are, these are literally hundreds of thousands of jobs that could be impacted in the automotive sector and the supporting sectors around it. There's a lot of jobs at stake right now. So first and foremost, we got to protect these workers, and we got to fight back like hell to protect these jobs.
Aujourd'hui, M. Singh, vous êtes allé faire une visite d'une pizzeria pendant qu'il y a des travailleurs qui s'inquiétaient pour leur avenir, en sachant qu'il y avait peut-être une décision aujourd'hui. Qu'est-ce que vous leur dites aujourd'hui pour justifier que vous défendez vraiment les intérêts des travailleurs?
On ne sait jamais ce que Trump va dire, ce qu'il va proposer. À ce moment, ce qu'il a annoncé, à ce moment, c'est quelque chose qui frappe fort sur les travailleurs. On a demandé le gouvernement libéral, on a demandé que Mark Carney mette en place des protections pour les travailleurs. Parce qu'on savait que les menaces de Trump vont dire les impacts directs aux travailleurs. On savait ça. Et Mark Carney aurait dû savoir ça aussi. Ça, c'est pourquoi j'ai dit qu'on doit avoir des protections en place avant d'aller à une élection. Et maintenant, voilà ce qui s'est passé. So I got to say this in English as well. This is why I had called on Mark Carney to put in place protections for workers before going to an election. This is not a game. This is serious. Workers right now are wondering how they're going to make ends meet because right now EI does not cover enough to pay the bills. It doesn't cover enough workers, but the amount that you get in income replacement is about 55% of your salary. For a lot of workers, that's not enough to cover the bills. It's not enough to cover the mortgage and to buy groceries and to pay your bills. That's why I said that Mark Carney should have put in place protections for workers before going to an election, knowing these threats were there, knowing that there was threats to directly impact workers and workers could lose their jobs. I said, let's put in place supports first and then go to an election.
Mark Carney did put forward today a $2 billion package, strategic response for the response to what's going on. What do you think of what he put forward?
Too late. Like this should have been done in the first week he was prime minister. In the first week that Mark Carney was prime minister, he found the time to go to Europe, do a trip and meet with the king. He found time to do a tax cut for millionaires, but he did not acknowledge the seriousness of the threat of Donald Trump and how workers could lose their jobs. What's going to happen if, as some economists predict, hundreds of thousands of workers lose their jobs.
With all
And
due
if that happens
all-
now, there is simply no protections in place for them. And that's why I said repeatedly that Mark Carney should have put in place those supports before going to an election.
With all due respect, you found time today to go to a pizza shop and meet with seniors. Why did you not spend that time unveiling what you would do to help these workers?
I hope we're not making a comparison with the Prime Minister of this country, who for a week when he was Prime Minister toured Europe, met with the King, and did a tax cut for millionaires, when he ought to have used that time to put in place a real plan for workers that are going to lose their jobs. We are right now in the middle of an election. And what we need to have done is have a plan for EI to cover workers when it comes to their bills, when it comes to paying for their mortgage and their groceries. EI needs to have been reformed. For years, we've called on for these reforms to happen. We called on these reforms to happen during the pandemic. It fell on deaf ears. The Liberals didn't do it. We called on these reforms to happen before the election, and the Liberals again said no. It turns out, it is very clear to me that for the Liberals, workers are an afterthought. We had called for these changes multiple times. They said no. Now workers are left out high and dry.
So what now? What dans votre campagne à la lumière de ce qu'on apprend aujourd'hui? Est-ce qu'il y a des choses que vous faites différemment demain pour montrer que vous avez les compétences d'être le premier ministre dans le contexte actuel?
À ce moment, ce qu'on doit faire, c'est de faire tout ce qu'on peut pour protéger les travailleurs. Comme on a dit, on a besoin des changements de...
Let's see if we can get back to English here. Yeah.
But tomorrow, what needs to be done?
Well, immediately what needs to happen are emergency measures to make sure that workers that lose their jobs are going to get the supports that they need. The government's got to put everything on the table and look at supports right now. There is a serious threat that for hundreds of thousands of workers, they could lose their job. They need to know that the government's got their back.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Okay, let's take a break. I'll be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, hang on here a second. I need to stop some of this audio playing in my head. All right. Okay. Sorry. I've just got audio playing in my ear from other sources as I've been queuing up other material for tonight. So, yeah, 25%. There are ways to deal with this. It isn't just about protecting workers. It's about creating an environment that is business friendly to cushion the blow to the auto companies in a way that makes out the factories here, keeps them price competitive with what is going on in the U.S. I'll say this too. Tariffs are a tool used by countries that have industries that are not competitive. I grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and I saw the decline of the auto industry. The decline of the auto industry in the United States was the result of a number of factors, not the least of which was poor quality, inefficient manufacturing, pilfering of profits from the auto companies by executives and investors who took the money out of the companies and didn't reinvest. It was the result of competition from other companies in other countries like Honda, Toyota, Nissan. Volkswagen was the first importing cars into North America and around the world. Cars that were of better quality, more fuel efficient. You went through an energy crunch in the 70s and 80s. American car companies didn't respond properly or quickly enough. They still produced gas-guzzling V8 monster machines while the Japanese sent fuel-efficient, smaller cars that lasted longer, went further, cost less money as they sent them into the United States and Canada. And people bought them because they were less money, built more efficiently with better economies of scale and newer, more innovative production methods. They took the assembly line and the production process, they streamlined it, and they were innovative. They came up with things like just-in-time delivery rather than warehouse parts. They would have parts manufactured and delivered to the assembly line just in time, arriving just in time, so that those parts did not need to be stored in a big warehouse someplace, which cost money, which required inventory tracking, staffing, insurance, the cost of real estate, climate control in the building, massive increase, massive cost associated with that. It's the Japanese that came up with the idea, let's have the parts manufactured at the parts manufacturing facility, and then just as they are needed, we'll load those parts onto trucks, and the warehousing will actually be in the transport truck on the highway instead of in a building someplace. It'll be en route, and it will arrive at the factory just as it is needed on the assembly line, so that it can be installed as one component of a finished product that comes off an assembly line over there. It's the Japanese that came up with that, not somebody in North America, not the American car companies, Japanese. And now you have China, you have all these other countries coming online as well. That's why the American auto industry got into trouble. It's not that anybody was ripping them off. And Canada was in that boat too. We were building cars back in the 1970s here in Canada as part of the North American auto industry, and I remember because I learned how to drive on them. They were building cars, Chrysler, that rusted out faster than you could pay them off. Cars that were 2 years old, 3 years old, they would have massive rust spots all down the side because of the kind of metal and the way that they painted them. It was not good quality, and they did not last. I learned how to drive in a 1977 Plymouth Fury. It was a pretty cool car, a sedan. My dad's car. Eventually became my mom's car. That thing was covered in rust within 3 years. Still drivable, but very unsightly. In addition to that, it was so poorly built that from new, if you went through a car wash, the windows all leaked. The water poured in like it was Niagara Falls. In addition to that, in the middle of the winter, the locks would all freeze up. My mom, when she had to go to work in the morning, she worked for a hardware company at a warehouse. She used to have to go out, and when I learned how to drive, I had to do this too with that 1977 Plymouth Fury. I had to take a propane torch outside with me to heat up the locks just to get in the car. All the time, all through the winter. Because of the way they were built. They didn't winter test them properly. It's true. As a result, Japanese cars were coming into the market and people were buying those instead because they knew. And Chrysler was in a lot of trouble at that time. They almost went out of business. It was a bailout, a government bailout, on both sides of the border, by the way, Canadian and U.S. governments, that bailed out companies like Chrysler. General Motors just but went bankrupt here. Well, they did go bankrupt, and then it was a big government bailout that saved them again. And that's what these tariffs are. These tariffs are in place because American manufacturing is not competitive. They have a steel industry that's not competitive. They haven't reinvested in the technology or the infrastructure to keep their steel industry competitive, so Trump is bailing them out, bailing out his big rich friends. The auto industry down there, not really truly competitive because they haven't really invested in it adequately. We're much more efficient in places like Oshawa. They're retooling Oakville right now for Ford. I don't know if that will continue. Mexico, and I'll tell you this, Mexico, they've made a lot of investments. They've improved a lot. We're improving things here. And yeah, there is investment going on in the United States, but we've always been integrated. We're not ripping anybody off. This is ripping people off. This is putting up a wall like a communist country. An economic wall saying, no, nobody coming in here. We're going to do it all on our own. We don't want your stuff. You keep it over there. We're not trading with you, but we'll send you stuff. Well, we're not going to be able to afford to buy your stuff because you're going to try to destroy the economy. My advice to everybody out there is at least consider, if you're going to buy a vehicle, buy something that's manufactured, assembled, using parts from, as well, other countries rather than the United States right now. To just insulate from this. There are so many other vehicles that you can buy. You don't have to buy American. And I'll tell you this, that most of them are of higher quality than the crap that you're getting out of the U.S. right now. And I can tell you that as an automotive journalist. And I've been a big proponent, a big advocate for North American built vehicles. Much more so than other automotive journalists out there. I've been a huge fan of Ford products, of GM, generally speaking, and of Chrysler. But I'll tell you this, they don't hold their value. If you buy a Chevy or a Cadillac, it does not hold its value like a Honda does, or a Toyota. You're much further ahead buying one of those. The Honda Civics that are produced right here in Ontario, Canadian assembled, are of the highest quality of anything that you're going to find anywhere in the world. They are so tight and they're of such high quality that I would not hesitate to buy one of those things. They're as good as anything on the road, including, the top-end luxury brands, in terms of actual real mechanical quality. They'll outlast just about anything out there, even outlast like a Mercedes-Benz, anything. They're just that good. And they're made in Canada right now. Will that plant stay here? I don't know. There are a lot of things that we can do as a country to insulate our economy from what is going on in the United States. I'll tell you this, just from what I know about economics, the U.S. dollar is going to increase in value because of the value of the U.S. buck is going to go up because of what Trump is doing. That's one of the effects of tariffs. So that's going to instantly mean that the Canadian dollar is going to drop in value. We should also cut our interest rates just a little bit, which is something Canada has always done to make our dollar, our economy more competitive for exports to the United States. We cut our interest rates just a little bit. We should also look at an exit tax so that any companies that have set up factories over here using our tax dollars should be subjected to an exit tax, so we recoup the tax money that we have invested with these companies that have set up factories with our help. If they want to go to the United States, they're free to go, but we impose an exit tax to recoup our investment in those factories, and then we take that money and put it back into our industries to support our workers with employment insurance programs and through reinvestment to retool and ramp up with alternative products in those factories, in the same industry or different industries, wherever we can establish additional trade with other countries around the world, not focusing on the U.S. at all. Continue to trade with them, but then we have to take steps to make sure that the companies that are still manufacturing here have cost competitive conditions that will allow them to produce goods that are still price competitive so that they can still be purchased by customers in the United States. That's why you should also look at tax cuts and tax incentives for these companies to reinvest in those plants, reduce corporate tax rate. By shaving a little here and a little over there and a little over there and a little over there, you can cushion that 25% tariff blow exporting to the U.S. In addition to that, we should incentivize people to buy products like cars that are manufactured in countries other than the United States, and not just have retaliatory tariffs dollar for dollar against products against the United States. Strategic tariffs, yes, not across the board tariffs. Provide incentives for people to purchase vehicles that are manufactured in Canada and vehicles that are manufactured in places like Europe and in Mexico. There are a lot of different vehicles that you can buy that are not made in the United States. You can buy cars from Japan that are imported into Canada right now, like the Subaru Impreza, the Nissan Kicks, the Nissan Sentra, manufactured in Mexico. A fine car, high quality. I've driven them. They're very good cars. You can buy if you need a pickup truck, you can buy a Ford Maverick. It's a small compact pickup truck, or a Ford Bronco Sport for an SUV. There are lots of different models like that. I love the Ford Maverick, and it is built in Mexico. And it is actually of much higher quality than you might expect. People say, well, it's made in Mexico. It's not very good quality. It's not true. It was actually one of the best pickup trucks, like smaller pickup trucks that I've driven, period. It's a brilliant piece of engineering and design. Very unique. And it's kind of a response to some products coming from companies like Hyundai. The Chevy Equinox also, some of those are made in Mexico. You want something higher end, get a BMW 3 Series. I mean, it's just, those things are iconic. They are extremely high quality, well built from Europe. I personally wouldn't, favor buying a BMW. I think they're a little bit over-engineered, but if you want something in that class of car, BMW 3 Series, that's the benchmark for quality, and it sure as heck is not made in the United States. Nothing against American auto workers. I'm just saying that overall, the quality of most of the U.S. stuff is not really up to snuff when it comes to a lot of the stuff coming from Japan, from Europe, and certainly from plants like we have here in Ontario manufacturing that Honda Civic. Lots of stuff that you can buy, man. Get yourself a Volkswagen Jetta. And if you want a Chevy, get the Equinox. there's some, trucks, cars, there's stuff you can get out there. If you focus on those kinds of things, then, we'll reduce our dependence on the U.S. and send a message south of the border too until all of this calms down. And why the heck not? And the government can take a lot of steps without just going like, oh, well, we're going to impose a 25% tariff back on you on cars. No, that's not the answer. Strategic tariffs, yes. Tax cuts, exit tax, interest rate cut, because that will further reduce just a little bit the value of the Canadian dollar to make our exports competitive and keep it competitive vis-a-vis the U.S. There are a bunch of things like that: tax breaks, incentives, other production incentive programs for manufacturers, and also purchase incentives and tax breaks for consumers for certain kinds of products as well, to incentivize purchases. In a taxing things and penalizing people for buying something, you incentivize a purchase in a different direction. And that's a more positive way of dealing with economic pressures in order to get a particular economic outcome. And there are other things that can be done, but that's just stuff off the top of my head, and we'll see how the government actually responds. So again, let's, with that little rant, semi-rant, let's take another quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about this Signalgate security breach a little bit more, because there was a lot more fallout from that today. Yeah, pretty damning stuff for these senior level Trump administration officials.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, so we will maybe go to the phones and just shortly, so that you guys can call in and talk about this. A very real thing. Talk about the economy, the auto industry specifically. And we have we have to talk a little bit more about this Signalgate scandal. So Caroline Levitt today, this is the Trump response to what is really, this is not a partisan thing. This is, I can't think of a security breach that has been more extensive or more serious than what we have just become aware of through this article in The Atlantic. A long time, kind of a highbrow intellectual type of magazine. My guess is not a lot of, average people out there read it. It's a kind of a niche publication that way. For sure, no question about that, but it doesn't mean that it's a rag. It's like I said, it's pretty highbrow, but Caroline Levitt coming out today, echoing the Trump administration's response to this whole scandal, and that's what it is. It's an absolute scandal by attacking the journalist and the publication. It's wearing thin. It's like whining.
And there's arguably no one in the media who loves manufacturing and pushing hoaxes more than Jeffrey Goldberg. Goldberg is an anti-Trump hater. He is a registered Democrat. Goldberg's wife is also a registered Democrat and a big Democrat donor who used to work under who? Hillary Clinton. This is the same Jeffrey Goldberg who infamously lied about weapons of mass destruction to get us into the Iraq War, which cost trillions of dollars and thousands of American soldiers. And how else has Goldberg discredited himself? By absurdly claiming that President Trump was Vladimir Putin during the 2016 campaign, by peddling the Russia hoax that tried to hijack President Trump's first term, by inventing the suckers and losers hoax to help Joe Biden in the 2020 election, by peddling a hoax about President Trump involving Gold Star families to help Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, which our campaign at the time vigorously denied. Jeffrey Goldberg didn't care. There's more, but we don't have all day, and we can now add the Signal hoax to this very long list.
Signal hoax.
The real story here is the overwhelming success of President Trump's decisive military action against Houthi terrorists.
Hoax. Hoax? Like it didn't even happen. Yeah, it happened. It happened. Period. Verified. 100%. If you don't want a left-leaning or a liberal or a Democrat critic of your president or your administration or yourself to gain access to something you're doing, like having a meeting discussing classified information and plans for an attack on an enemy, if you don't want somebody like that to have access to it, you shouldn't send them an invitation and then admit them into the meeting and give them all the information. It's not the journalist's fault. In fact, the journalist did his job. And while Levitt joined in the chorus of voices on the Trump side saying, "Oh, there was no classified information released. It was classified, not top secret." It clearly was. And Tulsi Gabbard, part of the team now, she was put on the hot seat today, again, at this Senate hearing. I don't know if this is the right one. I think we lost our cue for it. I can probably pick it up here. No, I can't, because that's not the right feed. Just give me a moment and I'll find it for you again. I'm going to just run this brief. The tab must have been closed while we were shuffling through all the other election stuff. Oh, and I still have to show you that bus thing too.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
In an ocean of lies a century deep, the truth awaits. Choose not the red pill. Choose not the blue pill. For both are an illusion. Discover the power of M. The power of individuality. We are Mavericks. We are the way to the light. Fear not the storm. Join our quest for truth. Truth will set you free. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so let's go to this. I'll pick this up and watch how they make Gabbard squirm again here. And this is right after we get through this thing with Kash Patel.
Of a drug overdose every 7 minutes. That is wildly out of control and unacceptable. Secure the American people from Washington, D.C. So we're putting resources in the field. We're working with our partners at the state and local level. And we are seeing immediate results, as we are seeing in Arkansas. As I out.
Hang on, let me just make sure this is. Here we go. Gotta back it up. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this queued properly for you. I'm really sorry. Too much material.
Particular to Director Patel and Director Gabbard. Yesterday, Senator Heinrich asked, did this conversation, referring to the signal chat, include information on weapons, packages, targets, or timing? Director Patel, you said not that I'm aware of. Director Gabbard, you said same answer. This morning we learned that the signal chat included the following update, forward-looking update from the Secretary of Defense. Time now, 11:44 Eastern Time. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern Time. F-18 launch. First strike package. 13:45 trigger-based F-18. First strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch. MQ-9s. 14:10. More F-18s launch. Second strike package. Do either of the directors want to reflect on their testimony yesterday in the context of what I just read?
Sure. 1, I was not on that signal chat. 2, I have not reviewed it. And 3, as you just indicated, that was made public this morning.
But Director, you didn't prior to yesterday's Senate. You were on this. You were on the signal chat, correct?
No.
Okay, but did you review the material on the signal chat?
No, I wasn't on it.
Director Gabbard.
Yes, Ranking Member. My answer yesterday was based on my recollection, or the lack thereof, on the details that were posted there. I was not, and what was shared today reflects the fact that I was not directly involved with that part of the signal chat, and replied at the end reflecting the effects, the very brief effects that the National Security Advisor had shared.
So it's your testimony that less than 2 weeks ago, you were on a signal chat that had all of this information about F-18s and MQ-9 Reapers and targets on strike, and you in that 2-week period simply forgot that that was there. That's your testimony?
My testimony is I did not recall the exact details of what was included there.
That was not your testimony. Your testimony was that you were not aware of anything related to weapons packages, targets, and timing.
As the testimony yesterday continued on, there were further questions related to that, where I acknowledged that there was conversation about weapons, and I don't remember the exact wording that I used, but I did not recall the specific details that were included.
Director Gabbard, you've reasserted that there was no classified information. I think we can all agree that that information shouldn't have been out there. But let me ask you this. Are you familiar with the ODNI's classification guidance?
I'm familiar.
I've actually got a copy right here. If I read you a part of that guidance, I wonder if you could tell me what the level of classification indicated is. I'm reading from your classification guidance, and the criteria is information providing indication or advanced warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing an attack. Do you recall what your own guidance would suggest that be classified?
I don't have the specifics in front of me, but it would point to what was shared would fall under the DoD's classification system and the Secretary of Defense's authority.
So let me help you, because there's a very clear answer. You don't, I guess you don't have it, but information providing indication or advanced warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing an attack should be classified as top secret. Do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree with that. I just point out that the DoD classification guidance is separate from the ODNI's classification guidance.
Do you think it would be materially different?
Ultimately, the Secretary of Defense holds the authority to classify or declassify.
Do you think it's likely that DoD guidance is materially different from what I just read?
I haven't reviewed the DoD guidance, so I can't comment.
Director Gabbard, a lot of this suggests sort of a lack of sobriety. When there's punch emojis and fire emojis, it's a lack of sobriety. I don't mean that literally. But I have one last question for you, because I think people really listen to what you have to say. You, on March 15th, as DNI, retweeted a post from Ian Miles Chong, who is listed on RT, that's Russia Today's website, as, quote, a political and cultural commentator who has contributed content to RT since at least 2022. Director Gabbard, do you think that it's responsible for you as head of the intelligence community and the principal presidential intelligence advisor to retweet posts from individuals affiliated with Russian state media?
That retweet came from my personal account, and I would have to go back to look at the substance of the tweet.
Can I, just so that we don't have a lack of confusion amongst our allies and enemies and us, can I act perhaps that you not think that you should be saying one thing on your personal account than you say officially?
I maintain my First Amendment rights to be able to express my own personal views on different issues.
Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields, and I recognize the distinguished Vice Chairman, General Kelly.
Yeah, I'd now, for the first 30 seconds, Mr. Ratcliffe, or Director Ratcliffe, formerly known as Texas, from this Mississippi guy, I'd like to give you 30 seconds if you have anything to respond to what Ms. Gabbard Director Gabbard, I'm sorry, just said.
Well, Mississippi, it's good to see you again, and I appreciate the opportunity. You know, there's so much talk about this Atlantic article and about things that were said and that could have happened instead of a focus on what did happen. So my responsibility as CIA director, one of its responsibilities is to kill terrorists. And that's exactly what I did along with President Trump's excellent national security team. That's what we should be focused on. With regard to that article, I also would appreciate the opportunity to relay the fact that yesterday I spent 4 hours answering questions from senators as a result of that article that were intimating that I transmitted classified information because there were hidden messages. Those messages were revealed today and revealed that I did not transmit classified information, and that the reporter, who I don't know, I think intentionally intended it to indicate that. That reporter also indicated that I had released the name of an undercover CIA operative in that signal chat. In fact, I had released the name of my chief of staff, who is not operating undercover. That was deliberately false and misleading. And I appreciate the opportunity to reflect that my answers haven't changed. I used an appropriate channel to communicate sensitive information. It was permissible to do so. I didn't transfer any classified information. And at the end of the day, what is most important is that the mission was a remarkable success, is what everyone should be focused on here, because that's what did happen, not what possibly could have happened.
Thank you, Director Ratcliffe. Director Patel, thank you for the great job that you've done. So, first of all,
okay. So you got a hot seat question, and then you got a softball question from a guy who probably, well, I think Ratcliffe knew that that was coming. So that's fair. That's fine. But the reality is they shouldn't have been talking about what they were talking about on Signal to begin with. And we know that from yesterday. And yes, the information absolutely was not just sensitive, but at the time was of vital security interests. It was classified. And if they were treating it like it was unclassified, they shouldn't have been, because it was information that, if it fell into the wrong hands, puts lives at risk, could cost lives. We know that. So the journalist, Mr. Goldberg, responded today because they keep saying there's none of this information is classified. It's not top secret. Oh, I guess it's just fine to just have it out there in the public. And certainly after the fact, it's not as sensitive, and maybe it could be declassified at this point. But while the planning was taking place, because they were talking about targets and timing, it was of the most sensitive nature. In spite of what Tulsi Gabbard is trying to suggest. So the journalist released the whole transcript today. The Atlantic put it all out there. Here, I'll show you. And there's just, it is what it is. You can't deny that this stuff is information that should be treated in the, why is this thing not sharing? It should be sharing, and it's not. There's something wrong with our computer here tonight, folks. It's not bringing it up. That is very odd. I need to take another break. We're having more technical problems. One moment.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Too late. Too late. Too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, here it is. So this is the whole transcript. You can see here, team establishing a principals group, and it goes down. If you scroll through, you can see the disdain here from J.D. Vance for Europe. Doesn't like the U.S. doing anything that would help the U.S. allies in that region with their shipping. Doesn't like to have to pay the price. And as you go along, you see, oops, you see that there's actually a timeline here too of targets and strikes. Oops, let me just bring it up here. And so as you go through this, it absolutely does talk about specific targets, and they give you timing as well. It's yeah, I don't know what else you would, what other kind of information would you treat as classified other than information exactly like that? And here, let me show you this. Okay, I've got this. This will show you better what I'm talking about. Right there. Team update. Time now, 11:44 Eastern Time. Weather is favorable, just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are a go for mission launch. 12:15 Eastern Time. F-18's launch. First strike package. 13:45. Trigger-based F-18. First strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch. MQ-9s. 14:10. More F-18s launch. All in caps. Second strike package. 14:15. Strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop. All caps. Pending earlier trigger-based targets. 15:36. F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. Yeah, that's targets, that's times. That's a very specific, those are very specific references to the attack plan and what is happening, all on an unsecured commercial communications app, Signal, not military grade. Totally open to interception by foreign adversaries. And it is important to focus on what actually did happen, because the mission did meet with some success, and that's good, I guess, from the U.S. perspective. But I would say they're also damn lucky. And the other good thing that has come of this, the silver lining, is that it has exposed a flaw in the system, in the cabinet members, their attitudes, their approach to security, and they've made big mistakes that we hope won't be repeated, which would continue to expose the United States and allied nations and soldiers, pilots, military personnel to risk, life-threatening risks. And this is damning stuff. I mean, it is not, it just isn't excusable, because it's indefensible. And they can make excuses, and I think that it will work, but it doesn't make it right. This was absolutely wrong. And it wouldn't matter to me if it's a Democrat, a Republican, someone MAGA, someone woke, someone unwoke, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is a massive security breach, and if it was a mid-level, low-level military person, they would absolutely be pinned to the wall and would pay a price that would cost them their careers. There was a story from a couple of years ago, as I recall, just about a guy on a submarine who took a picture, just a photograph, and put it up on social media, and because it was taken aboard a nuclear sub, he was heavily reprimanded. I think he lost his position. I'd have to look up the details on that, but that's just from putting one photo up of like what was supposed to be like an innocent social media post, and he got raked over the coals for that. Cost him his career. And there was not even close to what this was. And these are the people leading things. So yeah. All that being said, folks, we're going to go to the phones here in a moment. But first, I need to share this one with you. I don't know if you guys saw this, but are you familiar with who Evan Solomon is? He's a one-time CBC journalist, lost his job at CBC because he got caught. What was the story? He was involved in brokering art deals and taking a commission from it. And because of his involvement with that, he lost his job at the CBC because it put him into some sort of a conflict of interest. And interestingly, the brokering of the art deals was for artwork that was purchased by none other than Mark Carney. Well, Evan Solomon is now a Liberal candidate running in this election. Just recently was affirmed as the candidate, and I don't remember the exact writing. We'll find that out in a moment. But the thing is, he reposted this meme of Mark Carney on social media. And what a faux pas this is. Big mistake. He didn't really take the time to look at it closely. He shared this out on social media. Look at the picture. Are you picking up on this? You see the words on the bus? It's not liberal. It looks like a liberal campaign bus, and there's Mark Carney. Looks like he's getting off the bus. But they've photoshopped this thing, or they've created this image with these other words on the side of it. RETARD bus. And Evan Solomon, a Liberal candidate, friend of Mark Carney's, reposted this thing. And look at what's underneath it. World Economic Forum logo, right underneath those words. So naturally, Evan Solomon has since taken this down off his social media pages. It's like, oops, this is hilarious. And the anti-liberal, pro-conservative social media folks are just having a heyday with this. It's funny. This is a hilarious mistake. It's going to cost him. Look here. Oops. Just saying. Just a lot of people making hay with this. It was funny. I'm laughing. Just retard bus, it says on the side. Oh, can't win for losing those guys. I'll tell you that. But they are ahead in the polls, most recent polls, just a little bit ahead of the Conservatives, which is this probably the most amazing electoral turnaround we've seen in Canadian history, and it's all because of this uncertainty facing the nation and a shift in attention, a shift in attitude, a shift in focus, a shift in concerns out there tonight. Let's take a little break. We'll come back and we'll open up the phones briefly tonight. Johnny out in Alberta, you going to call me tonight? I hope so. Always love talking to my Johnny friend out in Alberta way. All right, let's get the show on the road here, shall we? I think this is the number to call. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay. Let me just get the phone system fired up here. I can't help it. That's hilarious. The thing with the bus. Oops. It's so funny. Just so funny. Okay, we've got our first caller on the line here tonight, too. Who's on the line with me? Oh, hello, Isabel. And hang on, I've got another caller coming in. Oh, they're coming in fast and furious. Hang on, let's get you guys up on the screen so you can all join the conversation here. Hang on, we're going to get you all up here. Everybody's itching to talk about this stuff. The bus thing is just killing me. Oh, that's so funny. So funny. Okay. With candidates like that, man, you don't need political opponents. Who else is there? Is that you, Dragon?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, how are you doing?
Hey,
Dragon.
Okay, Isabel, you were first in line, so you go ahead. You get the show on the road here. Open it up for us.
That was a perfect bus. I want to see that bus.
You want to see that one? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my.
Oh, this whole thing in the States, it just shows you the incompetence.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and people are turning against him.
Yes,
people
they are.
that voted for him.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, I did have another thing. Somebody sent me something on Facebook today.
Yeah.
About our money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went hunting to prove them wrong. Unfortunately, I proved them right. On the $20 bill and on the $50 bill, Carney's name is on there.
Yeah. So?
Since 2012?
Yeah.
That seems a little weird.
Why? He was the governor of the Bank of Canada, so it's kind of like writing a promissory note, and he endorses it by putting his signature on it. It's like a promise of payment, like a check.
Okay, but then they removed they removed one and put him on in the same year?
Well, he was Bank of Canada governor from 2008 to 2013. They don't always print bills in particular years. Like, it depends on what they do at the place where they print the money, right? The mint. So I'd have to look up to see what the records were when, certain bills were printed and when designs were changed, things like that. But it's common practice for the governor of the Bank of Canada to sign these promissory notes, which is your currency, your money, because that's like taking it to the bank and it's endorsed, right? So you can pass these around to banks and it's like another layer of security. It has his copied signature on it because the bills are printed, right? But it's got his signature on it. And of course, they can't be counterfeited very easily, especially Canadian money, because it's of such high quality and they use production methods that, prevent people from counterfeiting them. So, but yeah, just to sign it, that's common practice. It's always been done. He was at that time the governor of the Bank of Canada. So on the Canadian banknotes, he's the guy who signs it, not the Prime Minister, because the Bank of Canada is separate from the government. It operates at arm's length from the government on the advice sometimes of the cabinet, as budgets are passed and things of that nature. But the Bank of Canada governor has, wide latitude to enact fiscal policy in order to administer the bank, and they are the issuer of the currency, which is it's a part of the government, but it operates at arm's length from the governing party at the time, right? Because you don't want your prime minister in there directly meddling in, your direct monetary policy. Otherwise the politicians would be in there raiding the piggy bank every day. So you have somebody who sort of like is a caretaker of the bank, right? It's separate. And then because he's in charge, he has the authority to sign those notes and say, this is an official IOU or a promissory note, a promise of payment. This is Mark Carney. I'm the Bank of Canada governor. You show this note at the bank. It's official, like a check that if you write a check, Isabel, you sign it. It's endorsed. You take it to the bank, and it's like, Isabel says this is real. It's her promise of payment. It's going to come out of her account. She's good for it. This is him saying
I get it.
The country of Canada is good for it. That's all it is.
Yeah, it just shocked me.
Why is everybody like? I'm curious. What was the allegation or the conspiracy around this one?
It was just the fact that people were saying the same thing I would have said: is I don't want anything with his name on it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, he's just shifted, right? So he's not. He's not the governor of the Bank of Canada anymore. So now he's moved on to the political side. Now he's a candidate and wants to be the prime minister. And you can vote for him if you want, or tell him to, go away.
I have already told him.
And that's fair. That's what voting is all about. And
but I did see, I seen that Poilievre brought it out in one of his speeches. Was it today, I believe, that he has no outside interests or assets, and he was very clear about that. So now they're still after Carney, like, show us your shit,
I know. Well, that's okay. I mean, that's a lot of politics being played. I don't know what assets the guy has. He probably has all kinds of assets, and some of that's low hanging fruit. And I would like all the politicians to, just show us everything, including Poilievre and Carney and Jagmeet Singh, all of them. I want to know where they're getting their money, because if there is any corruption or conflict of interest, I want to know up front before we even elect them. But, they're, entitled to some degree of privacy too.
It's making me laugh that Jagmeet has to go around in a bus.
Why? Well, what do you mean? Why?
Because apparently he doesn't have money for the plane.
Well, yeah, they are a smaller party. That's true. But at least they have a bus. Some like the other parties below them don't even have that. Most of those guys don't even have, electric bikes. So.
Well, I thought he might bring out his tricycle that he has.
Well, he's got that. So.
You know what surprised me?
What's that, Dragon?
That he goes to pizzerias, and I hope that when he goes there to visit the people, he wears the net, or at least another T-shirt. Well, one to cover his facial hair.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want hair in your pizza.
No.
Yeah.
And mostly not the Jagmeet one.
Yeah. Go ahead, John. You're from Alberta. You have been waiting there for a minute.
Well, Rimby John from Alberta. Love you, Isabel. Love you, Dragon. Love my Quebec friend in Quebec. Did you get my transfer payment this month, my friend?
Oh, jeez.
Dragon, did you get my transfer payment this month?
If I did what?
Did you get my transfer payment of my black crude oil and gas to keep your distinct society running in Quebec, my friend?
Not yet. It's still in the mail, so it's about to get there.
It's still in the mail. Well, you can tap into your Hydro-Quebec there. Anyways, Rexter, a lot of people, Rick, they forget about Alberta's got the largest oil and gas reserve in the world.
Yeah, I know.
Third largest.
I know. Yeah.
But they also, now, my whole call tonight, and I'll get off real quick. Dragon, I love you, bro. I love you, buddy. You're in the will. If Quebec goes dry on oil, come out here. You live with me. My point is tonight is Trump talked about coal in the White House. Black crude coal. in the White House, Rick.
Yeah.
Well, Alberta, they never talk about it. Dragon, Isabel. We don't have just the third largest oil reserve in the world in Canada for oil reserves. We have the third largest coal in the world. 500 years of burning coal. Eat your heart out, Greta Thunberg. Cleanest burning coal in the world. That's what Alberta also has to contribute to their 500 years of clean burning, high efficiency coal next to my natural gas and hydrocarbons. So we contribute big time.
Congratulations.
You're going to make Greta cry.
God gave it to us.
Okay.
And I'm sharing all of that with you, Dragon, and you're not sharing any of your hydro with me in Alberta. So vote Liberal. Vote Liberal, Dragon. You vote Liberal, my brother. Vote your 24th seats in.
John. First of all, I'm not speaking for Dragon, but I highly doubt he's going to vote Liberal. And secondly, none of this is not his fault. Stop picking on our poor Dragon. Dragon's a nice guy.
Him. I had New Year's with
I'm
Dragon.
gonna take my bike and I'm gonna go ride myself to his place, and I'm gonna play a hockey game with him.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, get out your hockey sticks and your canoes. You can play some river hockey. I don't know, man. Like, geez, John. Like, why is it like? Okay, change the topic. Just stop attacking Dragon. It's not. None of this has anything to do with him personally. Okay, he just happens to live in Quebec. And it's not helping anything.
I'm not attacking my best friend Dragon. But Dragon, you need to shake your head.
He will not stop, will you?
No, you need to shake your head.
You need to Dragon, just give John a little love, man. Like, just make him.
But he knows I love him. You know, if he would be just next to me, I would probably hug him tight. He wouldn't even breathe anymore.
God, you just.
I do.
All right.
I love you.
Okay, who else is on?
Dragon, is that right after you cashed my oil check for Alberta?
Stop! Stop it!
Dragon's gonna blow fire on you, John.
Stop, John. Stop.
I love you, John.
This is not good. Stop.
I love you too, Dragon.
Stop it. Stop. Okay, love is good, but all this, stop. Who else is on the line?
That's me, Rick. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing? Who's that? RV?
It's me, yeah, RV.
Well, welcome back, sir. Are you gonna pick on Dragon?
Oh no.
No ganging up on Dragon.
Yeah, hi Isabel. Hi John.
Hi RV.
Yeah, Rick, I just kind of popped on for a second here. I wanted to know if I could ask you something.
Yeah.
You remember Kim RS?
Yep.
I think she's in your bid, and she wants me back in the show, and she's been banned for a long time, and she wants me to see if maybe you can pull her out.
I can look at that. She's banned on what channel?
On the channel we're on, like.
Which one? I don't know. I've got all these different channels. I don't even know. So I'll have to. Is it YouTube? Is it Rumble?
Yeah, YouTube and Rumble. She's banned on both.
Okay. And it's just Kim RS?
Yeah. Well, it's fancy writing, Kim RS, yeah.
All right. I'll look at it.
Yeah, I just popped in for that. I just she wanted to be in here, and she, I don't know why someone banned her. I don't know if it was Lori or whoever. I don't know.
I think whatever that was, that must have been a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. It's been a long time.
Well, we don't like to give people life sentences around here for things. So
I just popped in. You guys. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, RV. Always a pleasure. Well, most of the time.
Bye, guys.
Okay, see ya. Bye.
That mean I have to watch what I say too?
No, Isabel. You're good to go from Alberta, my dear.
Yeah, you're
and you pick on my Dragon.
You're usually pretty level-headed there, Isabel.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So
I try to be.
So are we going to talk about these tariffs or what? Anybody care?
Yeah,
Brutal.
actually, I wanted to make a comment about the tariff and actually make another comment on the fact that, well, there's something that is surprising me, actually. The polls that I've seen earlier, which is like 5% difference with the Liberal in the lead, it's kind of weird, don't you think?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure, but is it skewed probably, or how do you think that it's possible that the Liberal kind of getting that much gain?
Yeah, yes, Dragon, it's huge. It's bullshit. CBC News, the Communist Broadcasting Company of Canada. It's all bullshit, Dragon. Don't listen to it.
It seems that way because of how the polls have been for the Conservatives, and now all of a sudden it's not. That's kind of weird when we're getting this close to the election. And I don't think it's just because Trudeau's gone.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm asking Rick what do you think about that, actually?
I think that sometimes polls are inaccurate because of the way they ask questions or because of the way they sample in specific areas. So they can skew numbers. It is done. In this particular case, do I think that it's a close race? Yes, I believe that it is. I believe that what we've had happen because of Donald Trump, you're seeing a huge swing in public attention and public opinion in these polling. Now, you would not pick up on it, likely you guys, because you're not inclined to vote Liberal. But so you're not in their sphere. You're not being subjected to the same kind of information online that they are because of the way the algorithms work. But no, I absolutely believe that it is a close race. And it depends on where you are in the country, if you're out in Alberta, you're not going to see it. If you're out in parts of Ontario, you will, some parts. If you go to other parts like Windsor right now, you probably wouldn't see a big swing to the Liberals. You're going to see more probably to the Conservative side because of the blue-collar nature of the community. But if you go up to the GTA, yeah, you're going to probably see more of a swing toward the Liberals because of the demographics up there. If you get into Quebec, you're going to see, I think, more of a swing toward the Liberals than the Conservatives. So you've got this vote-rich area here, Ontario, Quebec, that has heavy influence on the polls. They're polling across the country to get a feel across these different ridings. And so the end result is, yes, I think it is ultimately, in the end, pretty darn close right now. And I don't find that too hard to believe given the gravity of the situation, the seriousness of this issue, and it is shaping up to be the most consequential election in Canadian history. And I think part of the reason you're seeing the big swing is you're seeing it was like a switch was turned on where instantly people were energized and focused on politics, where a lot of people prior to this were kind of sleepy time, not paying much attention in between elections, the way Canadians are. So yeah, I don't really think it's that far off. Do I think it's entirely accurate? No, they do tend to skew numbers. But
right.
But my gut is it's probably close.
Too.
And
you
guys,
kind of explained pretty well what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what was I saying even a year ago? Everybody was like, oh, Pierre's got this in the bag. For sure, the Conservatives are going to win. And I kept saying, don't count those Liberals out. They have money. They have a big political machine. They're powerful. They're established. They've governed the country for more years than any of the other parties. Certainly, it's only ever been two, Conservative or Liberal. We've never had even an NDP government, and the Liberals have governed for the majority of the time. So you can't count those guys out. They know how to run election campaigns, and they have the resources to do it, and the teams, and the money, like the most money. So I kept saying, don't count them out. And I said, they got something up their sleeve. They absolutely do. And I said, they're going to come out with this during the election. And I think we saw it yesterday with the revelation that Pierre Poilievre was helped in his campaign to become the leader of the Conservative Party during that leadership race by influencers and even money, I guess, from India, which is, I think, one of the things they were going to try to use. I don't think we've heard the end of that. That's foreign interference. And then they're trying to tie that to his decision not to get his security clearance. And again, you can go back even, 6 months, a year ago, I was talking about this. So these things are all coming to pass. And I don't think it should surprise anybody.
But is this a different clearance than what he has to sign as a cabinet member?
As the leader of a party or the prime minister, you can get security clearance. You're entitled to do that so that you can see this information. But you have to sign this non-disclosure document, promising not to reveal whatever it is that you've learned, right? And he hasn't done that because for whatever reason he feels like he wouldn't be able to talk about the issue fully and freely. It's a double-edged sword. I kind of get where he's coming from. At the same time, I don't know how you can talk fully about something if you don't know what all the details are, right? But then if you do get the security clearance, you can't talk fully about it because you're not allowed to. So you're caught between a rock and a hard place.
I think Carney is going to hurt because there's been a few, there was one actually, a video from CBC where they were inside, it was Newfoundland, I believe he was in, and he was doing a rally and they locked the doors from the fishermen to get in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well.
So that's not going to help him. But like we were watching last night, Carney stands on a stage and talks to the people, and Poilievre talks with the people. That's what I see.
I noticed that too, that his setup is different where Poilievre sort of, they're putting him on a riser in the middle of the room, and then he walks around in a circle and talks, and Carney stands up at the front at a podium, sort of more traditional style.
Okay.
And
are you there, Dragon? Dragon, are you there?
I'm still there.
Dragon, are you there? Are you there? I love you, my friend.
Okay, John. Thank you, John.
But
if you vote Liberal, no, Dragon. If you vote Liberal, then if you vote Liberal, Mark Carney, Ontario, we're done. It ended. You're done. No more transfer payment. It's done. You're done. We will become our own whatever. And I love you, Dragon. I love you, my sir. You are such an integrity guy. And you're done. We're done. You're done. If you vote Liberal, vote it, and we're done. Alberta's gone.
You're starting,
and it's
John.
happening.
Yeah, and John,
you're starting to sound like them in the USA. You can't talk to him if he takes a different opinion from you. You can't do that.
Yeah, so I know.
I'm sorry, Isabel. The fact of the matter is, Alberta has had enough. $600 billion.
Okay, hey John.
Transferred.
Hey John. John, yeah, I know we kind of already discussed it, so I think what we should do is kind of make room for some other people to speak right now, if that's okay.
Bring them in. Bring them in.
Yeah, well, that's okay, because we're going to throw it back over here to Dragon, and we'll just kind of put you on pause here for a moment, okay? Good comments though from John. And okay, go ahead, Dragon. Why don't you carry on here for a moment?
All right. Well, if you want me to answer to John, well,
I don't really. I'd like to talk about something else.
Something else.
Yeah, other than the Alberta Quebec feud, right? Can just
please,
for my own sanity, if for nothing else, but please, can we talk about something else?
Sure do.
Thank you.
You know what? I had something actually prepared for you, so let's go with that. So basically, it's gonna probably make you laugh a little bit.
Sure.
I hope.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Trump earlier said that there's something that makes the well go crazy. Well, I keep telling him there's something in the water, right? It's all about the water. And there's another thing. Trump doesn't make sense nowadays. That's probably because he has basically 4 active brain cells. 2 giving the CPR to the third one, and the 4th is crying for help. So that doesn't. It's not really good, right? And yeah. What about Florida? That's probably because his brain is overheating nowadays. So that's not a good thing. So Trump needs some water.
I hope they like the empty airports that are coming in from Canada.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Trump needs some clear, good water, not the kind of water that makes the wells goes locos. So
he's got to stop drinking that Diet Coke that he drinks.
This is terrible. Like what he's doing. It is. It's going to be so damaging across the board. It's not, and it is not going to result in the golden era for America that he thinks it will.
No.
This is just going to hurt. It's just going to cause a lot of pain and suffering on both sides of the border. And we do need to do something, because if we do nothing, those auto plants will move. That he's after those auto factories.
Yep.
And that is, our auto sector has already suffered so much. Like I was saying, since the 1970s, the 1980s, we shared in that pain with the United States, because our factories were shut down too. Our parts industries, all the factories that used to be around here, so many of them shut down, left for other countries like China, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Canadian Tire or Napa or any auto supply place and you buy brake pads, water pumps, stabilizer links, just any auto part, and chances are it's made in China. You think you're driving a North American built car? No, you're not. Probably half the stuff came from China, from factory made, and then when you go to get your replacement parts, almost everything, it seems, is made in China. China. I laugh. They say Canadian Tire is a Canadian company. No, it's not. It's China Tire is what it is.
That's what my son called it. He's a mechanic. He's China Tire.
Yeah, China Tire. Even the tires are made in China now. That's true too. You can buy some that are manufactured in North America. They're generally more expensive, but even the tires, your tires, Nexen, companies like that. I have.
You want to know something?
Yeah.
Even the most casual thing that people can buy in a Canadian Tire is a pack of playing card, right? And even those are made by Chinese. And did you know that playing cards, they were actually made by the company Nintendo? Yes, the one that is, the video game company that has made actually the card back in the 18th centuries.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Well, the thing is like every product becomes an input for another product. And so when you are applying tariffs, which are a tax on steel, that affects the price of everything else that's related to the steel. If you put steel into a building, a convention center, then the cost, and you have a tax on the steel, then the cost of every convention from that moment forward goes up. Because it costs more to build the building, therefore they have to charge a higher price for to lease the facility for every event. And then every event that's held that you buy a ticket for, the ticket costs more. It all relates from one thing to another, to another.
And
it's like the trickle down, but it's the trickle up.
Yeah.
Would it not be an incentive for Canada to reach out to Japan to put plants here?
We have done that, and we've used tariffs ourselves in order to get companies to build factories here. We've done that. But we don't do what Trump has done. No country has really ever done this that I can recall, where you put them, 25% tariff across the board on everything. That's a war. That's not strategic economic planning. That is like, screw you. We're taking everything. That's just economic warfare. And it's stupid because it is damaging to your own country too. But, in the case of, as I've pointed out, electric vehicles coming from China, yes, we did impose tariffs on those at a rate of 100%, but that is because of what China has been doing with that industry. They've been dumping a ton of government money through subsidies and programs over in China to attract investment, to build up huge, massive EV factories over there. All their vehicles are subsidized with government money to produce them in a way that when they come off the assembly line and they're shipped to market over here, they sell below what it actually costs to produce them and get them to market. That's because the pricing is artificially deflated. It's government subsidized. It's not a real reflection of the true cost of the electric vehicle. So they're dumping them into the market. The purpose for doing that is so that they can flood the world and certain key markets like the US and Canada with these subsidized vehicles to bring them in below cost, sell them at a price that's below what we can sell the vehicles we produce here at, because it's artificially low. So they're trying to put our factories out of business so that we invest, we set them up, but then they go bankrupt. Then after they go bankrupt and your industry is destroyed, they have all the market share, and then they increase their price later and make their money on the back end of it. That's dumping. That's predatory market practice. That's why you impose tariffs on goods coming in, which is what we've done with the Chinese EVs. So that we can have an industry here too.
Flood.
Yeah,
you have to stop the flood.
Right.
Otherwise you're going to have no product.
Right. And it's one thing if they're just producing them more efficiently and they have a cost advantage because of their geographic location, or they have cheaper energy to produce because they're next to Niagara Falls and they've got hydroelectric power, as we do, right, which they can produce cheap, like less expensive access to stuff like that. So it gives them a natural competitive advantage, in which case it's actually in your best interest to buy the product from whoever is producing it with that competitive advantage, because you can't produce it that cheap yourself to begin with. So you're better off to do something different and buy the cheaper product from them and trade what you can produce more efficiently with them on the other side. That's basic economics. That's how you get a more efficient economy. But what Trump is doing, he's saying, screw that. I don't care if you've got, a massive free energy source or cheap energy source and you can produce things more efficiently. We're going to penalize anything that comes from you. We don't want what you produce at all. It doesn't matter how efficient you make it. We don't want it. We want to make it here no matter what, so that our workers get it, and then we'll send it to you and you can just buy it from us. With what I don't know, because he's not trading with us now. So he's not helping. It's not a mutually beneficial trade agreement. He just wants it all on his side. So if you take all the factories, how are we supposed to contribute? How are we supposed to make your life better by producing something that we can trade with you? We can't. Unless you're just going to rape our resources and we just stay a resource-based economy where we don't get to process our minerals or process our oil. We just have to ship the raw materials to you. So you get all the value-added benefits of putting those additional value-added inputs in and getting the added value all along the supply chain as value is added with each step. You get the oil out of the ground, we sell the raw resource to you, then you get to refine it and turn it into plastics, and then you get to manufacture it into widgets, and then you get to, send those off to, whatever. So all the way down the line, everybody that touches it makes money. We're not allowed to participate in that? That doesn't make sense. You're much better off letting us do what we do best. You do what you do best. We work together. You let the market decide. You reach better economies of scale. You get to higher levels of efficiency. You're producing goods and services as a result that you get lower cost. Consumers benefit overall. Everybody has a higher standard of living because you now have access to everything that's produced at a more efficient level, right? So everything's more cost effective. And then you're trading and it's better for everybody. But no, Trump, he's like, screw you. We want it all. That's what this is. He's the one ripping us off, not the other way around.
But and you know what I've noticed lately, though, even though he goes and he does all these things out and about, you never see the wife with him anymore.
Yeah, well, the campaign's over.
You know, but I mean, still, you know, you'd think you would see. I mean, you see Elon coming off of Air Force One.
Yeah.
But like, what the hell are you doing on Air Force One with your little 4-year-old widget that you drag around everywhere?
It just,
I mean, like,
so many things with Trump just don't make sense to me. Everything seems upside down with the guy, or hypocritical.
This last bamboozle is going to hurt them big time because the world is taking notice of this. If this is what you don't consider as high classified, like Mike was talking about last night, these guys would be court-martialed and gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen that thing with the guy who they arrested because he had taken high-profile pictures.
Yep.
And they went and dragged him out in handcuffs with the military SWAT team.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this was worse.
Yeah. And look,
and you're
I mean,
kind of like,
look at the whole Hillary Clinton server scandal, right? That was like, lock her up.
Yep.
But this, it's like, oh no, well, there's nothing to see here. It's no big deal. That journalist, it's a hoax. What do you mean it's a hoax? How can this be a hoax? It's not a hoax. It's real.
It's right there.
It's right in front of you.
Right there. All you had to do was, it was wide open to the public. Now, like Mike was saying, if that was wide open to the public, and you've got hackers who can get into these systems, now all their numbers were there, all their information was there on that chat. They were all logged in, so they were wide open to being hacked.
Yeah, and you had the Trump's envoy over in Russia at the time. Yeah, he was on the call as well on his cell phone from Russia, which means that guaranteed his cell phone was being hacked. That means the Russians getting into the system through his cell phone also had access to everything they were doing. Make no mistake, that is the truth too. I'm pretty sure of that. So absolutely, it's been compromised.
Yeah,
Also,
this wasn't
there's
a military, consigned line they were talking on.
And there's another thing that is rubbing me on the wrong side, if you allow me to say. Tulsi Gabbard earlier on the clip that Rick have shown, being basically scolded by the Senate for the fact that she was having some contact with a reporter from RT, which is Russian-based reporting. So, I mean, there's two things to me. Either it's a sort of she's trying to manipulate or do a certain what we call a covert information sort of thing, or she was basically playing double side.
Yes, that came out in that too.
I mean, it kind of rubbed me on the wrong side. I don't know for you guys, but yeah.
That was a little suspicious that, I mean, they knew that and they were grilling her on that. And as you saw today, all of a sudden she has amnesia.
Yeah.
Wow. It's actually contagious.
I got to go back. I got to go back on my tweet to make sure that we're speaking of the same thing, you and I. Yeah. It's like, just to get back on the context.
It's
Sure.
it's very interesting, and I'd say even a little entertaining to see Gabbard up there squirming and being asked all these hard questions after, you know, because she was always, critical and in a position to criticize before she was actually in charge. Now she's in the driver's seat. She has the position, right? Now she's the one being held accountable for her actions. And I could just imagine if she was still, or any of them were on the outside in opposition, trying to hold whoever was in power, accountable. If they were on the other side questioning themselves, what would they be saying? They'd be saying the same stuff that's being asked of them right now, and they'd be criticizing their answers too. You understand?
Yes, because she was very critical before she got this position.
Oh yeah.
And now all of a sudden,
warmongers, you're all warmongers. And then she turns around. She's bombing Yemen. There you go. And I think you probably wouldn't have to look too far to see her condemnation of U.S. actions in Yemen prior to this, and in Syria and in the Middle East. And what's she doing? She's on the calls right now approving the bombing raids. So funny how things change.
Definitely a two-side kind of sided face there in their part, and Goldberg is not. Is basically she's not saying clearly all the game she has. And now we kind of see the face she has right now.
Oh man, the Goldberg did his job, and he actually did it properly. He held information back to make sure that he didn't put anybody at risk. I don't know if he got every single detail in the process right. I saw Radcliffe there criticizing him and leveling some accusations of misidentifying CIA. Employee or agent, possibly. So that warrants further scrutiny. But I think overall, he was very professional about it, straight up, and didn't act with any kind of malice. I think he acted very professionally and did his job right, served the public.
Yes. What surprises me is, here's this guy. He didn't ask to be part of this. He was invited in.
Yep.
Or brought in. So, but you're calling him, he's a liar, he's a sleazebag, he works for a rag. Wait a minute.
It's just
outside of all that, he's got the proof. I didn't jump in on this call. I was brought in.
And here's Gabbard. Here's all of them really. Like, now I don't know if all of them would be in this boat or in this camp, but people like Gabbard. Julian Assange is a hero. Edward Snowden is a hero. Those guys, that was hacked documents. Everything that they, that they put forward was in some way obtained, information obtained, documents obtained, emails obtained, kind of illegally, right? Stolen, hacked stuff that they got access to. But this guy, he didn't steal anything. He didn't have to hack into anything. No. It's just straight up. Even the manner in which he was provided the material is in itself scandalous because they gave it to him. They gave him the access. It's even worse.
He didn't have to go get it. Yeah.
It's like planting the evidence on someone and go like, we know where the leak came from.
Yeah.
It's like some guy walks into a bank. And then you hand him all the cash from the vault, and he's standing there in the middle of the bank, and he's holding all the money. And then you go, okay, go on outside. Go on. Get out of here, you crazy rascal. You go on out there and take all that money. And he's like, really? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. And he's like, okay. And then he walks out, and then they ring they sound the alarm after, and they go, thief, bank robbery. No, No, you gave it to him. It was a gift. There's a big difference, right? He didn't break in. He didn't steal it. He did. You said, here, have all this free money. Free money. Yeah. That's not even theft. That's just, it's actually his. It belongs to him. You gave it to him.
Yes.
And then he shared it with the public. That is a better assessment. And then they're all like, it's a hoax. He doesn't even have the money. What money? What are you talking about? He doesn't have any money. There's no story here. Nothing to see. Meanwhile, the guy's, awash in cash. And he's like, look at all my money. It came from the bank.
Yeah. And the way they were drilling them today, it was like, regardless that he's got this, he shouldn't have got this. How do you, what do you have to say about this? Like, you guys are in charge.
Yeah. The buck stops at them now. They're the ones at the top.
Yes.
And instead of being held accountable for being incompetent, Trump is covering up for them. Well,
yes.
It was a hugely successful operation. That's not the point, dude. That is not the point.
So what happens the next time?
Right. This should never have been this time, because that's why you have the guidelines in place, the rules that they're supposed to follow, the laws, so that these things don't happen, and they are supposed to know. And even in the questioning, you can see that Gabbard is being asked questions that she simply didn't have the answers to because she doesn't have the depth of knowledge. So she was like, I don't have this in front of me right now, which she keeps coming back to as a crutch because she doesn't know.
Yep.
No, and that was one of the things that I noticed, and so did the guys that were grilling them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, they were constantly watching her answers and throwing it back at her. Well, like, you're in charge.
And she's lying. That's what it comes down to. She's just lying.
Oh, yeah.
She was lying yesterday, and now she's getting caught in the lie, and they're saying there was no classified information, and so that's why Goldberg at The Atlantic released the whole thing today. Oh, really? Well, if you guys say that it's not classified and there's nothing top secret, then there's no reason I can't release it. So he did. Yeah. And now it's like, checkmate.
I hope they don't go after him, because this is, they're trying to smear him now, but the smear shouldn't even be on him. It should be on the White House and all his little puppets that he's put out to play.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched Hegseth, and Hegseth he's a friggin' actor, that guy. He should have stayed on Fox News, because just the way he was acting. Of course, people were saying online that he was probably drinking that day. So
the guy's he just seems like a mean-spirited cuss. He really does. I find him scary because his personality seems so aggressive to me. And as much as you want a warrior ethos, to turn the military into the most lethal killing machine on the face of planet Earth in history, no, dude, I don't think so. What I want, well, you know who I want in charge of the military? Somebody very calm, cool, collected, rational, intellectual, very thoughtful, someone who is going to make very careful decisions about anything that is done. That's not
rash.
Not rash. Somebody who takes a step back, who's very stoic. Right.
Well, I've seen him on Fox, and he's very agitated all the time. He was very animated.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, they're going to put him in charge. I hope they get him something to calm him down, because this guy looks like a freaking live wire.
He is a live wire. That's what I said on the show last night. He's like some guy that you would meet in a bar who's had a few too many, and he wants to fight. That's what he reminds me of, and I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere near that guy. He's just dangerous.
He does have a bad reputation from when he was younger, but I don't think that it's changed.
Doesn't look like it to me.
I don't think so. I mean, apparently his ex-wife said he was abusive.
No kidding. Really? I never would have thought.
No, it would never have crossed my mind.
Yeah. No, that's kind of instantly where my mind went. It's like whoever marries that guy is going to have some trouble.
Yeah, I am. No, I didn't like him on Fox. The odd time I would watch it just to see what they were saying on there was no different than the regular media, only that it's all right wing. But it's so far right wing that they need a ladder to get out of the hole now.
Yeah.
It's gotten crazy.
No,
It's gotten crazy.
Yeah, like I said, just in that kind of a job, you don't want a hothead. You don't want a loose cannon. You want somebody who takes a very measured approach to everything.
Yeah.
Period. Because the
period.
consequences are so serious. Nothing more serious.
Yeah. I mean, they've got nobody in that government that I don't know, has the logic and the stability of maturity that I can see. They're all just, yep, sign this, yep, and they follow Donald Trump around like they're carrying his toilet paper roll.
Yeah. If anybody else wants to call in, the number is 1-647-734-4220. 1-647-734-4220. Hit that PIN number to enter the conference call / online meeting 860-075-764. They'll prompt you at that PIN number when you call in if you want to join us. Again, 1-647-734-4220. We'll stay on for a little bit longer in case anybody else wants to join the call. I didn't get that ticker on the bottom of the screen up with the phone number until just a few minutes ago, so that's how you can join the conversation tonight. I'll give it a few more minutes and we'll continue the conversation here with Isabel and Dragon for the moment.
We're dangerous. Hey, Dragon.
You know what? We're nasty. We're nasty Canadians. Just ask Donald Trump.
Nasty.
We're nasty.
I forgot.
Nasty Canadians.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, there we go.
Jeez. He's running out. See, but he's running out of insults because I believe that one he recycled from Hillary Clinton, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he called Hillary Clinton nasty, a nasty woman, if I remember right.
Yes, she was nasty.
Well, now we're nasty.
Yeah.
He's been around so long. He's recycling his insults.
He should go back to being a garbage man.
Yeah.
He needs to take the trash out of the White House.
You know, it's the lack of, I think, imagination that sometimes Trump is victim of. So.
Yeah. I'm just looking it up here. He called her a nasty woman several times.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that, and it's the way he looked when he said it. I'm like, wow, I can still see it. I still, maybe I'm going down the rabbit hole, but I still think that these assassination attempts were planned.
Well, somebody planned them, obviously.
Yeah, I think, though, it was done, really, in my mind now when I look back on it, how can we make him look so powerful?
Oh, I see. Sort of like a false flag thing to help Trump with his campaign.
Yeah.
It did seem.
That's how I see it.
It was like I said it when it happened. When he rose up off the stage, right? Got down and he put his fist in the air and he yelled, "Fight, fight, fight!" And that photograph, which we put on the T-shirts, right, with the flag right behind him. It was like a made-for-TV moment. It was just unbelievable. Bam! I
remember you saying that. How lucky a shot that was.
It makes you wonder, right? But I can't. I have to deal in reality and deal in facts. But the fact of the matter is, you couldn't have staged it any better to get that shot at that moment.
No.
Well, Trump is using, I think, this as a tool. And I don't want to say that he's probably a Hitler 2.0 kind of thing. But when, for example, you're riding for a big lead like the President of the United States, which is like the most powerful place you can be in the world, and you got an assassination attempt, you will probably try to use this as a galvanization of your power by using the Messiah messages. Like, for example, God did spare me so I can continue my works, kind of rhetoric. Yeah. So, and that was polarized even more after what happened, because not of the second attempt, but how the media kind of categorized the whole thing after that.
I have something I want to show people tonight.
Like he was the chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you see this? I'm holding up on the camera here. I'm sharing something with everybody. See that? You know what that is?
Is that a spider?
Yeah, that's a spider. It's a little buddy. Yeah, May sent me this, and I have to say thank you to May. I started to say thank you last night because she sent me something in the mail, a little donation, which was extremely needed and certainly appreciated. Thank you. But she also made this, and it's my new little mascot, Buddy. I have to say that normally I'm a little bit, I get the heebie-jeebies just a little bit with spiders, but
Yeah,
this guy's very friendly. So
cool.
He's my little mascot right here with in the studio. So thank you very much, May, for sending me that. Appreciate that. I still have that shadow box over there too. I can't reach it right now, but it's here in the studio too that was sent to me before. So thank you guys. Really appreciate that.
Oh, my shadow
thank
box.
You, May. Yeah, I've still got your shadow box there. I can't reach it right now. But
you need longer
there.
arms?
Yeah, but it's okay. It's here. It's right over there. But here's my little spider guy. We're going to have to name him. I don't know if May had a name for him. Herbert. Herbert.
Yeah. Herbert, like Herbert Swift.
You know, I was thinking about this the other night. When I was a kid, do you remember the book and the movie Charlotte's Web?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we had a crisis at our elementary school, and I see somebody else has joined us on the line, so I don't want to keep. Who's on the line with us?
Hi, this is Karen.
Karen, you're just in time for my Charlotte's Web story.
I just wanted to speak to the manager.
Okay.
There's a troll in the chat named Dragon, and he's bothering me.
Oh.
He's mean and nasty.
Is he? Is it like this dragon, or is it like somebody who's using his fake, like a fake name? Because sometimes we get somebody in there impersonating even Dragon. They've even impersonated me.
No, it's our dragon.
Your dragon's a troll?
I must be nasty.
I'm just kidding. No,
I was going to say that's not very picking favorites.
No, this is Jennifer from BC.
Hi, Jennifer. Can I finish my Charlotte's Web story?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when I was a kid, they brought all the kids down. I don't remember why, but they showed the Charlotte's Web movie on like a 16mm film projector in the auditorium. And at the end of the movie, when Charlotte dies, all the kids were crying. It was just a flood of tears. Everybody was so sad. It was a crisis. I remember that day, and so Charlotte's Web always left this big impression on me, and now I have my little buddy. So it can be Herbert, but we should maybe put it to a vote. And what his name should be?
Didn't Charlotte have the babies though before she died?
She did, yeah. And then they all flew away, if I remember right, except one. One spider, baby spider stayed. Sorry, what's that?
They flew?
Yeah, because do you remember, if I remember the movie right, all the spiders, when they hatched, right, and they came out, and then they had like little parachute thingies, and they got carried away by the wind, and then it was like a happy day, and they were all leaving, but then they were like, oh, it's so sad because... the pig is going to be all by himself. I think the pig's name was Wilbur, right? If I remember right.
Yeah.
And but then when you think that Wilbur's all alone, there's a tiny little voice that says, hello, or something like that. Do you remember at the end of the movie? And then it's like, then the tears came even more.
To this day, my daughter will not kill a spider because of Charlotte's.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
Not me.
Jennifer, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. That was my Charlotte's Web story.
Okay. I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, well, you got to check that out.
Yeah.
Great kids.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Substack. I can't find you on Substack.
Oh, I have.
So-
I do have a Substack that I just started actually about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, under my name. I can put a link up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put it in
I
the
think
chat.
you should find them on Maverick Multimedia or Maverick News. That's the name under the which one you should research on the tab, and you should find them.
Actually, my Substack is really under my name, I think. Here, just give me a moment. I'll find. I'm kind of still new at the Substack thing, so I'm navigating the menu here. But I'll get it for you. Is that all you called about? You must have other things to talk about tonight, like the tariffs and Trump and the 51st state and Charlotte's Web and cute little spiders.
No.
Dragon trolling.
Why are you interested in my Substack?
Well,
Nobody's ever asked before.
I tried. You put a link in a while ago, and it wouldn't open for me. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I'm still trying to figure it all out. I figured out how to post on it.
Maybe.
There we go.
Are you using your computer or a phone? Because
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I think I need to be on a PC, maybe.
Because I did use my phone, which is a Samsung, and the link worked super fine with me.
Oh.
And actually, I just had to
Didn't work on my phone.
upload the application Substack from the Play Store. But from there, I could see everything and read the Substack, which is, by the way, very interesting, Rick.
Sorry, what's that, Dragon?
The Substack, I did read it.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Which
Pretty
one?
interesting argument here.
Which one?
Well, the one about the 51st state. It's pretty, it's well done. I think you point out the real matters there, and yeah.
Yeah, the one I wrote today was about the Vances visiting Greenland and how the U.S. presence in Greenland could be another contributing factor in the destabilization of the entire world, because you're putting, this whole argument that we get from Russia, right, saying that NATO expansionism is to blame for the whole Ukraine war. Well, what the hell do you think the United States is doing by expanding up into Greenland? You're getting closer and closer to Russia. You know, if you put nukes, for instance, into Greenland, you cut the impact time from ICBMs by half to less than 10 minutes.
Well, basically, it's getting on the back door of Russia.
Exactly. This is a serious thing. Then the Substack I wrote previous to that, about 3 days ago, because of the Vance's visit coming up to Greenland this week, I talked about Operation Iceworm, a very little known thing that happened in Greenland. You want to talk about tunnels. This is all about tunnels. It's about Camp Century, which was established there in the 1950s, an underground research facility, which also became, at the time, a secret nuclear facility that nobody knew about. And it's all
this
true.
One I gotta read though.
Oh yeah, it's all there too. You got to check that stuff out. Very provocative. And now you've got Trump wanting to take over Greenland, Usha Vance and JD Vance going to Greenland at the end of this week. And I understand as of today, I saw a little bit of information about how they've changed their travel plans to appease the government in Greenland, so that I don't think JD is actually going to be going to a lot of heavily populated areas. But it's so obvious that this is like another step toward trying to acquire Greenland. Like, when did Usha Vance suddenly become interested in dog sled races?
Yeah.
Right? I think I'll just
You know
fly
what?
on up to
That's a
Greenland and take in
provocative-
those dog sled races.
It's a provocative move, I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. So I don't know. What do you think, Jennifer? Any comments on any of that?
So Dragon, so you just went into the Substack app and searched. What did you?
It's
Hello?
either Maverick News or Maverick Multimedia.
Oh,
And the logo is like a little circle, blue and orange, kind of.
Yeah, green and orange. I may change that actually to match our Maverick
Okay.
colors here.
okay, I'll try that.
Because if you were looking for the Maverick logo, you wouldn't have find it. I had to look at the name to and seek out where that was leading me, and here I am.
And see, it is very new, right? I've only been posting in there. I only have maybe 5 or 6 articles so far. I should have been doing it a long time ago, but I'm just so busy with all the broadcasting. But it's there now. Were you looking for anything specific? Did someone tell you that I wrote something bad and you want to go?
I just couldn't find it. The
Oh.
link didn't work for me. And, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
that's all I wanted to ask. Yeah.
Okay, well, where are you from? Out in BC?
BC, yeah.
What's the mood like out there? Does BC want to separate too? I hope not.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. I think you guys are a little bit more Canadian focused, oriented. The guys out in Alberta are pretty bitter. They're upset. Quebec, you guys in Alberta, in Quebec, they're Dragon, you just, I don't know, you've just got a certain group of people there that are never happy. Us people over
Can't
here in
please them.
Ontario, we're just like scratching our heads, looking at everybody, trying to figure you all out. And you guys out in BC, I don't know,
Well-
you're kind of caught on the other side of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think BC and Quebec has a beautiful relationship at the end of the day. It's probably my assumption, but most people of BC that I speak with always are welcoming conversation with a poor little Quebecer like myself. So I'm pretty, that's pretty awesome though.
And Jennifer, what's the mood like out there with the election? Are you seeing a swing back to the Liberals, the Conservatives? I would think that BC's, more liberal oriented.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been watching the local news or anything. But it is, I don't know, it's bizarre out here.
That's true. It is bizarre in BC.
It is. So the local media is, it's weird. That's why I don't watch it.
Yeah, a lot of hippies out there, right? Who are now into their their older years, and it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
A few too many days in concerts, doing a little too much, you know what? So, I think.
Yeah.
What can I say?
No, they are part of the new MK Ultra operation of the Liberal today. So
The do nothing province.
Yeah. Well, let's go around the horn since we're kind of at that time of night, and you know what, Jennifer, since you I think are our first time caller, you get to
No.
Yeah, you get to give us the final thought.
No.
On the night. Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah. No.
Why?
I don't want to.
You don't want to?
No.
Well, then just give us a
No.
final thought now.
I just called. No, I just wanted to know about the Substack.
Well, just say something, I don't know, cheerful and nice and uplifting.
No.
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 Okay, say
I'm just
something
gonna
really
hang up.
negative and to scare us.
No, I don't like being put on the spot.
Oh, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought we could just have a regular conversation like normal people. That's all.
Oh.
It's just something we do every night. We just go around the horn at the end and give everybody a chance to just say one last thing, and then I sign off.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't prepared for this.
Okay, then. Okay, so here's what we have to do. We're going to help Jennifer tonight because you guys know
no.
you know the thing that we say at the end of the show every night, right? You guys, the last words every night. On the, you know what? Okay, don't say it yet.
Side.
Okay, so final thoughts from Isabel and Dragon, and then we're going to help Jennifer with the final words of the night. Okay, and we're going to help you so you don't have to do it alone. All right, Dragon, you go first. Give us your best French Donald Trump.
Well. You know what? It's always great to have a perfect call like this one. I mean, the people of Maverick is amazing. We're doing some great things. And you know what? I applaud our new caller because caller are always welcome to express themselves. So, don't be shy. Do something. Say something great. You can do it. You're a marvelous, an expressive person. Go ahead. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you, Donald. Isabel, I'm going to give you the final thought, and you get to choose our closing song tonight, too. But give us your final thought first.
Chin up, elbows up, stay strong.
Okay. All right. And what do you want to hear? Freedom? Freedom, right.
Yeah.
And what song video do you want me to close off with tonight? I can give you MAGA Mars, or I can give you Orange Orangutan, or I can give you Snowflake.
No, freedom.
Freedom? Which freedom? Mm-hmm. Free Dog?
No, freedom.
Freedom. The song Freedom?
Yeah.
You mean the opener?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that because it's the opener of the show. You got to pick one of the other ones to close. Or I can give you the big rig.
The big rig.
You want the big rig? Okay, it'll be the big rig, which is Donald Trump rigging everything, including the truckers and all of that stuff. And we're going to help Jennifer here at the end. Jennifer, do you know what I'm talking about? The final words? Do you even know? I sign off every night and I see, catch you guys on the... You don't know?
Flip side.
The flip side. Okay, so here we go. All right, I love all you guys. We especially love Jennifer tonight. Thank you so much for calling in. And we want you to call back. So you can, so we can put you on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
No, we won't. We just want you to call in and participate. Thank you, really, thank you for calling in tonight and participating. And I will see everybody back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Everybody on the
flip side.
Flip side.
All right, see you tomorrow night.
There's a rumble on the highway, a shadow on the hill. Donald back in the saddle, and he's rolling in for the kill. Elon bought him Twitter, paid $1 million to vote. Said democracy's for sale. Let's get this country selling pain as pride. It's the big rig, the game that breaks the rules. Freedom's just a sticker on the corporate back tools. Rolling through the north, now topple every crown. Trump's the king of 51, no maple leaf around. So let the truckers roll, let the engines roar. Feed 'em lies and money, open up the coup's back door. It's Elon and it's Donald, rewriting the frontier. But the pain they leave behind will last 1,000 years. Donald, take break, yes, rolling strong. Democracy's a ghost, and the tyrants hum their song.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.